Okay. Okay. Well, welcome everyone to our second GAP meeting. Thank you all for being patient with us today. Today we will be going over a little bit more of the GRFP Primer, which I showed you guys on Tuesday, and going in a little bit more detail on the products. So real quick, your agenda, we're going to do a brief meet your fellows, and then going into the merit criteria. So this will be how your writing products will be scored, and then the application sections, deliverables to have for next time, and then going in what we'll talk about next time as well. So first, meet your fellows. So you all met me last week, or well, last meeting on Tuesday. My name is Emily, recently graduated with my major in environmental science, minor in statistics. I'm a UROC alum. I was a part of LSAMP as well as Scholars. Yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Lexi?
Hi everyone. I was not there last meeting, but I'm also one of the writing fellows. My name is Lexi. I'm also just graduated from CSUMB in environmental science, but my minor was in global studies. As you can see, I've done a whole bunch of different UROC programs. If you have any questions about any of them, I've done them. I also have a list of some of the different things that I've done as well. If you are interested in any of those or have done any of those, let me know if you have any questions. Also, come to me for that. Yeah.
All right. Now we'll dive a little bit into the merit criteria. So if you're looking at the primer, which just a quick reminder, last week I showed you all a Google folder that has a whole bunch of materials in there for you. The primer is in there. If you don't have access to that, just email one of us. We'll make sure you get access to it, get the link and everything. If you're in one of the UROC summer programs, you can go ahead and go to the Canvas page, and then at the in the modules section, there's a writing fellows module, and there's a GAP page there that you'll be able to get more information. So all the merit criteria information will be on the first page of that primer. The primer was made by Bill Head, so he's the one who brought UROC to CSUMB, worked as a faculty here for many years. So he is the one who developed these materials that we are sharing with you guys today. So when you submit all of your application materials to the GRFP, the reviewers are going to critique them based off of two things: intellectual merit and broader impacts. So intellectual merit is gonna be the potential to advance knowledge. So this is like any presentations that you've done, publications, that sort of thing. Your broader impacts is going to be the potential to benefit society, contribute specific desirable or desired societal outcomes. So honestly, it's pretty self-explanatory. What is the impact you're leaving behind? If you're in some of our other summer courses, you'll hear about the 4 pillars a lot. We'll talk about those soon as well. But this is a big on the impact section, and then like the leadership, all of that. What are you leaving behind for others to use or to benefit from? Can you do the next slide? Oh, wait, sorry.
Activity.
You have an activity. Yeah, activity time.
Yeah. Okay, so we were gonna try and do this as a poll, but it is not working out as Zoom. So for this activity, what I'm gonna do is we have 3 different lines that I'll put one at a time into the chat for the Zoom. But we've identified these lines having different aspects of both, or either of broader impacts or intellectual merit. And so after I put these lines into the chat, I want you to put in the chat either IM or BI to what you think this line really is referring to. This doesn't count for anything, you don't get points, but this is helping you to identify exactly what intellectual merit and what broader impacts looks like in a sentence. So this is an example of a sentence. This is actually from the primer. So I just took this from the primer, and you can reply to it or however you want, but put either an IM or a BI to indicate what you think it is. And then we'll go over it, respond to any questions. But yeah, I'll give you like a minute or so to respond to that. So put either IM or BI. You can also unmute yourself and explain why you think it's either intellectual merit or broader impacts as well. We got some BIs in the chat. We got some responses. Yep. Okay, so it seems like everyone is agreeing on broader impacts, and you are correct. This is taken from the broader impacts section, and it was specifically from the research plan, which we'll go into more later. But you are correct. This is talking specifically about broader impacts. You may see some signs of like overlapping, but this was specifically written for talking about the impact that they will have on this project. Okay, so we have another line coming in right now. So again, you're going to do the exact same thing, either IM for intellectual merit or BI for broader impacts. We'll give you another minute to do that. Some IMs. Hope you all aren't cheating and going just to the primer and word searching. I did not think about that until right this moment. Okay, so we got some IMs in chat, and you guys are correct. Yay! It is intellectual merit. So this quote is taken from a research plan as well, and is specifically talking about the different methods and ways that this person will be working on their project and how it will also like the outcome of it as well. Okay, so we have our last sentence right here. This one I believe was taken. This was another one from, I think, the map right, or the line right before it. So this is the same project as before. You're going to write if it's BI or IM. BI. IM. Okay, now we've got some contrasting opinions right now. Anyone else want to weigh in? Close. Okay, so it is both and got it right. This was written for having both intellectual merit and broader impacts. So everyone's correct. Yeah, we chose this line because as you can see, it clearly has the parts of the intellectual merit, but also has some broader impacts sections in it as well. So this is an example of when you write lines, they can sometimes overlap, but certain sentences can highlight specifically intellectual merit or broader impacts. And it's not necessarily a bad thing if it has both. It can just make it sometimes trickier for yourself to organize it, but still contain really good information.
I did drop in the chat a link to the folder. So if you have not gotten access to that yet, that should take you to it. So that'll include all the lecture slides, Zoom recordings, as well as the primer, which we are referring to today.
It does not have the sample lines that I put in, but if you all want them, I can definitely put them in as well. I might put them in like the speaker notes or something.
Do you want me to take this one? Or
Yeah, I think you're doing this one.
cool.
Let me take it though.
All right. Either way. So yeah, so now that you know the two main ways that they will rate your products, we want to dive a little bit more into the specifics. How are they going to actually evaluate these? So they're going to kind of base that off of 5 main questions. First is, what is the potential to either advance knowledge or understanding within your field, or even across different fields, depending on what you're trying to address, or what is the potential to benefit society? As you can probably notice, the first one is a little bit more for your intellectual merit, whereas the second one is going to be more for broader impacts. They're also going to ask, does it explore creative, original, or transformative concepts? So if you're familiar with the 4 pillars yet, this is getting more, is it into your initiative? Are you taking charge? Are you trying to do, leadership? They might also ask, is the plan well-reasoned, well-organized, and based on sound rationale? So it's pretty simple, does it make sense? You do want to think outside the box, but you also want to make sure that you're prepared to actually have a product by the end of your grad school experience. Part of that is also going to include, does the plan incorporate a mechanism to assess success? So I know that sounds very scary. That can actually be done a lot easier than you may think. So let's say you created a club, or you created something like this, like what Lexi and I are doing, these gap workshops. A way we might measure success is by doing a weekly survey and asking you guys what you think, how well these meetings are going, if we're benefiting you, if you feel like you're learning something. That would be a mechanism to assess the success of our meetings. Another question they would ask would be, how well qualified are you? And it's okay, I know that sounds scary. It's okay if you are not fully qualified yet. That's why you're going to go to grad school, right? Is to learn more and to become an expert in your field. So if you're doing your research plan and your project, you're not quite there just yet on what you need to get done or what you need to succeed for that, how are you going to make yourself succeed? How are you going to get yourself qualified? The last thing they're going to look at to evaluate your products is going to be, do you identify adequate resources available to ensure the success? So again, this is just, looking at who is your team, like who are your mentors? Are they adequate to help you achieve what you're trying to do? What about your school resources? If you're, starting a program at CSUMB, are you going to utilize what's already there to make this dream a reality, basically? Lexi, do you have anything to add on these?
No, that was a really good description and explanation.
Thanks.
Okay, so I think this is me now. So now we're going to get into the actual application sections that when you go onto the NSF website, these are the things that are going to be prompted that you'll have to write something. This will include like both like longer sections that you'll actually have to put a lot more into writing. So that'll be like the research plan and the personal statement. Those will take months, honestly, to develop. It sounds really daunting, but we'll do it and it'll be okay, and we'll break it down. Plus, this also includes other things that just need like maybe a couple words. So this is all of the different sections that you'll be required to fill in. We'll go into each one, explain it. I think for some of them, I don't know if I think we have links for some of them. So you can look at a couple of them beforehand. On the NSF GRFP website, they also have usually like more details about it as well. So if you have questions that perhaps we can't answer, you can go straight to NSF. But okay, so we're going to get started into the actual sections of it.
All of these will also be on the primer. I don't remember what pages exactly. We will try to give them to you as we go. I'll try to pop them in the chat, but they are in the primer.
Okay, so the first one, education and work experience. This is, you all are at CSUMB right now, so you're going to put CSUMB. If you transferred from a school, you will also put those information in as well. You can put credits in as well for if you transferred, but you can also put that in there's like a transcript area section. You can also put that information in as well. But for the education, it'll be the school, the dates you attended, your GPA at the moment, and then your field of study. And then after that is also the working and teaching experience that you have. So this can include a bunch of different positions that you held, including research and leadership. So I actually took this, I think I took this from the primer. This is just an example of different titles that you may have held in the past or are currently holding, and you can absolutely put any of these on as well. And they range from research experience to things like clubs as well. Okay. The next section is academic honors, fellowships, scholarships, publications, and presentations. So because so many things fall under this category, this is just going to be a list. And for this, I don't remember the exact word count, but you may have to leave some things out. So in making your list for this, I would recommend doing some of the most recent ones. And if you have any of like national scholarships or fellowships, I would also recommend putting those higher up at the top. So like the name implies, it'll be honors and awards, fellowships and scholarships, publications, oral presentations, and poster presentations. There's usually like a little information you can give for each one of those. And so this is also in the primer, but I just included this quick little snapshot so you all can start thinking about this. And this is another one that I would recommend writing out beforehand before you actually get to the application. Okay, so this is the proposed field of study. So this actually has an impact on who reviews your work as well. And it goes from your major field of study and then goes also into your subfield. That would be your proposed graduate program. So on the right side of the slide, I put the different categories that are the major field of studies. So you'll have to choose between one of these, and then you can also give your subfield. So on the bottom, I also put an example. So if you were studying marine biology, your major field of study would be geoscience, but then marine biology would be the subfield. And so once you choose your field of study, that determines the application deadline, the broad expertise of the reviewers, and then also the discipline of your grad program as well. Because once you put that in as well, like the field of study, if you do get the GRFP, the money can move with you from institution to institution. You still have to remain in that same field of study. Once you choose that as the major field of study, though, your subfield also determines the specific expertise of reviewers. Sometimes there are situations where you won't have a reviewer who is exactly what you study, and they'll just be very broadly in the subject. So for the example, they might be a marine biologist and you may be talking about bull kelp. They might have never worked with that, but they will still be your expert that will be reviewing your work, which can be difficult in navigating some of the wording, but we can help with that as well.
All right, so one of the next sections you have to fill out is going to be your proposed graduate study institution. So where are you looking to go to grad school? This must be an accredited university within the US or US territories. And this is important to identify. You'll just pick one, I believe, right, Lexi? I just picked one, but I can't remember if you can say two.
I think you just have to pick one.
Okay, cool. You really just want to pick one anyway, because you can actually use this as your target in your statements. That'll make more sense later as we talk about those in more detail and show you examples. But especially in your research plan, the goal is for you to actually start emailing your primary school of choice, your proposed grad school, as soon as you can, and start talking to those faculty and ask them if they are willing to help advise you for building your graduate research plan. This would make your application way stronger, and it also helps you, it shows that connection that, what did I say earlier? Oh my goodness. When they are reviewing, right? Are you qualified for this? Are you prepared for this? That'll help show them that you are. If you do get the GRFP, you can take it to another university. I also want to add in with that, you don't have to do the research plan that you propose. That being said, you should do, you'll probably do something similar, because hopefully you are building that with your potential faculty, but you don't have to. The only thing that matters is that you stay within your major field of study, just like Lexi was saying in the previous slide. You'll also be submitting your academic transcripts. So this is just going to be a PDF file of official or unofficial transcripts. I will say, once the application opens, I highly recommend you all go in and double check that it is still unofficial transcripts. That was how it was for us, but they are allowed to change it year by year. There is no minimum GPA requirement for this, so don't worry. Graduate record examination scores are also not a part of this. Most undergrad applicants will have a GPA of around 3.3 or higher. If you are below that, that's okay. But going into grad schools, the grad schools in general do tend to have a GPA requirement, at least the programs I was looking at, and it is usually around that average. I don't know if you had a different experience than that, Lexi.
Yeah, the recommended, it's usually above 3.3, but I know some of the GRFP people who did get accepted range from a 3.7 all the way to a 4.2.
Dang, a 4.2?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know you could go that high. Wow.
I'm pretty sure it was Spencer.
Oh, okay, well, that's Spencer. Spencer's amazing. Spencer is another breed. Anyway, so there, if you're submitting your transcript and there has been a life experience or some other circumstance that affected your GPA, there will be a chance to provide an explanation for that in your personal statement. You can also just weave it into your narrative. We understand GPAs are not everything. They do not define you. They do not define or fully reflect what you have overcome to get here, to get where you are today. And they are not a determination of your success. So you will be able to explain those if you have anything a little lower than what they have as their average. Um, and all those challenges will also help with your story, show that you've overcome them, and you are a strong and worthy applicant. You have a strong potential for success in the future.
Okay, so this we're gonna start getting into a lot of information. Again, all of this information can be found on these slides. If you're part of UROC programs this summer, you can find it on the Canvas. If not, we can also send this to you individually. And this is also in the primer as well. So this is a lot of information. Don't feel like you have to take it in all right now. We will also go over this information many, many, many times. Okay, so with that, I'm going to start talking about the personal relevant background and future goals part of the GRFP. So this is the personal relevant background and future goals is actually just one section. And so the way that it is recommended to break down is you have a personal statement section, you have a relevant background section that's specifically focused on intellectual merit, and you have another relevant background section that's specifically focused on broader impacts, and then you have a future goals and action plan page. So for the personal statement, this is really the introduction to who you are as a person and as a researcher. So this gives a holistic view of you and really captures the reviewer's attention. Then we go into the relevant background and specifically the intellectual merit. So this is where you can start showing all the cool research things that you have done. So this is where you say, I'm part of a lab and I worked on this list of really cool projects. And in those projects, I did this, and this, and these are all really cool because it helped progress my research field. And so these will all be taken mostly from your CV. So if any of you are in the Swiss program, that's where we talked about earlier, getting the evidence from. So that's really where you're going to be telling all the cool stuff. Then we have another part of the relevant background, but this is specifically focused on the broader impacts. So this will be, it can be tied into the different projects that you've worked on, but really how have you extended past those projects and made an impact both on the possible community you're trying to help, science community, or just people that you're trying to help, and it may even be students as well. But for these, you want to focus on describing them and those impacts, not just a list of different activities. They're important, but really getting to the bottom of it and the root and why you did those is the key part. And then at the end of this section, you will have a future goals and action plan. So for this, you're going to put your educational and professional development plans. And specifically why your proposed grad advisor is a good fit for you. So this will be, if you have a 5 to 10 year plan or even further than that, this is where you really talk about it. So for an example, if you say, wow, I really want to be the director of the Environmental Protection Agency. How am I going to get there? I'm going to go to grad school. I'm going to get a PhD. I'm going to work with this other company and gain all these soft skills. Oh, and then I'm also going to go to this company and get a bunch of real world project background and all of those good things. This is the time to do that. You'll need to flesh it out. And also specifically with this project, and if they're going to be giving you money for the GRFP, why this advisor and why this school and why this program is the perfect place for you and why that's going to help in your progress in your journey as well. So with that, I also put the prompt at the bottom of the screen. So this is how we choose to break it down, but the overall outline and prompt is to outline your educational and professional development plans and career goals. How do you envision graduate school preparing you for a career that allows you to contribute, expanding scientific understanding as well as broadly benefit society? So as you can see, the future goals is really what they're asking about, but providing things like the personal statement and relevant background show how you have already progressed as a researcher and all the effort and amazing things that you have done to work on as well, and why this project in this grad school is obviously the next step that you need to be taking, and they need to fund it because you're going to save the world, obviously. Okay, and if you have any questions, raise your hand, put in the chat, all those good things. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about the graduate research plan statement. So while the personal statement is obviously about you as a person, this will be about the actual research plan that you will be writing, hopefully, with your prospective advisor in the institution where they work. So for this, the prompt is present an original research topic that you would like to pursue in grad school. And so you have a limit of 2 pages to do that. But the way that we have broken this all down is, well, you obviously have to put your research title first, but then following that, you can do your background and problem statement. Then you'll go into the research plan, intellectual merit, and broader impacts again. And then also pepper it out through the entire statement. Should also be your in-text citations and then your references at the bottom. So for your background and problem statement, think of this as kind of a mini abstract in a way. So you state what the big problem or the big picture of the problem that you're trying to solve and where the basic science gaps are and why it needs to be solved, and then your general plan to fix it as well. So after that, then you can go into the research plan. So this is a lot of the time where you work very closely with your advisor. So that's where you have the research question, the study system you're focusing on, your research aim, hypothesis, methods, and analysis. So this is that real big chunk in time that you'll be putting in all of the work to make sure that this is a project that is also, 1, achievable, 2, is a graduate level PhD program level project. A lot of times it can be hard to jump over from undergraduate or even master's work into that PhD program level work, because for a PhD, you have a lot more years to get that done. So it's making sure you can fill up 4 to 7 years of work, and you have things that you're doing constantly that are helping to build on your project, and that need to be done. And that's something that your potential PI or advisor will help you with, because most of the times they've done it themselves, so they know exactly what they're talking about. So then once you do all that with your advisor, you'll then go into the intellectual merit and also broader impacts. This is again about the research plan and why it's important, especially for the intellectual merit. You'll be probably working with your PI again on this as well. And like the evidence and why this really would work as a project, but then the broader impacts as well of why you're doing this and who are you helping? Are you helping the environment? Going back to that study system as well is important. And then through this, again, you should have your in-text citations, and you'll have a section of references at the bottom. Emily, correct me if I'm wrong. I think your references have to fit in these 2 pages as well.
I believe so, yes. But there are certain things you can do with them that you can't usually do. There's a way to shorten them, because that's what I did. So we'll get there when we review the graduate research plan statement, and a more, actually working on it. We'll have that answer for you later.
Definitely. But I think, yeah, so this is the research plan statement, and this will be a large chunk of what you do this summer and into the fall. Oh, my slides. Okay.
While you're getting that back set up, I just want to say real quick, thank you all for just listening to us drone on and on with so much information. I promise this is the last content heavy day we're going to have. Next time, we're going to be doing a lot more activity stuff. Each of those different sections that Lexi mentioned working on it. So today is the last content heavy day. Thank you for bearing with.
Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, we know this is a lot, but again, all this information is available other places, but we appreciate your patience and listening to us talk for like an hour straight. But yeah. Okay. So one of the next things that you'll have to do is actually a letter of recommendation. So for this is really where you're going to rely on the people and the relationships that you've built throughout your scientific career, whether it be from people from CSUMB or from REUs. So you're able to request 5 letters of reference for the GRFP. That being said, only the top 3 will be chosen because you'll rank the 5 reference letters that you have. But a lot of the time, since you can only use 3, I would recommend really only doing those 3 and putting a lot more time and effort into those 3 and choosing who they are, giving them all the information that they need, and just helping those 3. Like I said, or for this, 2 letters is actually the minimum, but we recommend having 3 because a lot of the competitive applications have 3. And it just also gives you more of an opportunity to show how cool you are and to show the support system that you have. And so when you're choosing these people to write you a letter of recommendation, you want to have that holistic view of you as a researcher and as a student. Sometimes one person who writes you a letter won't have that holistic view, and that's okay. But it shows if you have multiple people who can overlap in some places, that's recommended as well. So we're going to help you also write all these emails to the letter of rec candidates that you would like as well, so don't worry about it. But for when you reach out initially, it should be late July or early August, which next week you'll be doing timelines, and ours will be even earlier than that, so that's okay. But when you're emailing these people who will potentially write you letters of rec, you really want to be able to follow up on emails with them that can provide them all the information that they will need. So whether it be criteria about the GRFP, if they haven't written a letter before, what is the GRFP? And all the documents that they may need about that, including prompts, but also your statements of that you'll be writing as well. They may be in draft form, that's okay, but drafts at least of the personal statement and also the research plan. And also your CV, because sometimes, like I said, one person won't know everything that you do. So just giving them as much information as you can is great. And then a problem for later, but something to keep in the back of your mind, is that it is good to always thank your letter writers. A lot of the time you'll know your letter writers in other ways and have a relationship built with them because they are people that you trust because they are your letter writers. So I know for me, I'm very close with all 3 of my letter writers that I had for the GRFP, and I actually emailed them when I got into grad school and thanked them because they were also the same people that wrote me letters for grad school, which is totally fine, and you all are welcome to do that as well. Yeah. We're going to be going on to deliverables next to help start with some of these things that we just talked about. But before we go in, that was a lot of information. Any questions on any of the different sections that you'll have to fill out? We'll be breaking these down in the forthcoming weeks, but it may sound daunting. It's okay. We'll take it piece by piece. Okay. All right, we're going to move on to our deliverables, which is our mission statement and elevator pitch. So many of you have been working on the 6-word mission statements, so you're well aware of what that is. But something that we would like to do that you can bring to the next GAP meeting is actually an elevator pitch, which is just a extended version, basically, of the mission statement. So while the mission statement is 6 words, an elevator pitch should be very short. So about the time it takes for you to talk to someone in an elevator. So I think it's like the recommended time is like a minute. at most, maybe 30 seconds, about what you do. So build off of that 6-word mission statement into about 30-second to a minute pitch, and then bring it to us next week, and we will help work on that. Also, because a lot of that work that you'll be doing for those will also be directly transferable into things like your personal statement, and just get those juices flowing of thinking about yourself. Because sometimes also, I want to recognize that it can be very uncomfortable to talk about yourself, especially in this way of kind of listing all the cool things that you've done. I know sometimes we have to do it a lot as researchers, but it can be very difficult. So if you feel uncomfortable, you are not alone. It's something that everyone goes through. All right, next Tuesday, 4 to 5. Yeah. In that meeting, we will be reviewing our different pillars, and again, going through that timeline. So actually be able to set up what you're going to be doing for the rest of the summer and into the fall. This is a screenshot I took of the primer. We actually used some of these lines in the activity we did earlier for the broader impacts and intellectual merit. And you can see how they were able to identify the 4 different pillars inside this research plan. And that is something that you all will be doing in the future soon. We definitely have some mind mapping and pre-writing things to go before that, but it's coming your way. And this is the last slide we have. So these are all the resources. If you have any questions that are specifically for NSF, they have virtual office hours, so you can go in and ask them any questions that you may have. Natasha is also a really great resource as well, because she has helped many people write all of their GRFPs. We have our Just Right sessions that you can get feedback, bounce ideas off of us on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then we also have materials for you all to peruse and get inspiration and look at all those good things. All right, that's all we have for you all today. I know that was really fast and a lot of information. So thank you all for being so patient. And yeah, like Emily said, next week we'll be doing a lot more activity-based stuff. We just wanted to share all this information with you because it's a lot, but it is good information. The other alternative to this would be reading the primer, which is 144 pages. So I don't know about you, but I'd rather have this type of presentation instead of reading that. But it does have good information. Okay. Well, with that, Emily, do you have anything else? Do you have any questions, comments, concerns? Okay. Emily, you got anything else to say?
I don't think so. Just know you are already ahead of the game just by like being interested, coming to these. We greatly appreciate it. If you have any feedback for us, please let us know. This is our first time doing this. This is the first time this has been done in New York, especially led by the fellows. So yes, I would love to know what you all think. But yes, as Lexi said, this is a lot of content, but you guys are doing great. It'll all be okay. You're starting super early. It's gonna be amazing. Don't worry.
Well, with that, that's all we have for you today. Thanks so much for coming, everyone. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night.
Thank you. Bye. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording
wanna
this.
Yeah.